people, and it's gone on far too long, and we won't
We are here calling for a third reconstruction, and we need to do that, and we need to do it with the loudest voices possible, the biggest actions possible. We need a third reconstruction in this country. And when we talk about a third reconstruction, we have to talk about the plight of workers in this country. Workers who have proven to be essential to the growth of our country. Workers who have proven to keep this country moving while the rest of us were just trying to hold on. So we got to talk about the conditions of workers. We got to talk about what's happening with workers and what we've got to do to change the circumstance so that people can make a decent and living wage.
That's right.
We got to have people making the wage that they deserve.
Yes.
And they got to have the conditions that they deserve.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So what we're going to do is to now introduce some of the most important folks in this country. They are workers who are every day building this country, every day keeping us going.
That's right.
And we're going to start with Sister Kumi Davis, who's a Raise Up Fight for 15 worker. She's a home care worker. Let's bring her on with a round of applause. She's essential.
So I am a certified nurse assistant at an assisted living group home. And I have a second job as a home care worker. And like so many, I go above and beyond the call of duty. That's right. And I do it all for less than $15 an hour. I get no health care benefits. And on top of that, I get no 401k, no sick pay, no chance to join a union, and I haven't taken a vacation day in 5 years.
Oh no. Shame.
And on top of that, I have watched healthcare workers being underpaid for 5 or more decades. And then I have noticed many workers, women, especially women of color, have been mistreated. We're getting little crumbs for our hard work we do. They don't even want to even pay us for our worth. And we don't even have decision-making power to create safe working conditions. And it is time for a change. How many of y'all agree that it's time for a change?
Time for change.
Hi, I'm Sarah Steffens, Secretary-Treasurer of the Communications Workers of America. I'm here to lift up the struggle of Maximus call center workers who have endured years of hostility, low wages, unaffordable health coverage, and intimidating union-busting tactics. These workers are employed in federally contracted call centers, and they help people access health services through Medicare and the Affordable Care Act. However, despite the vital services they provide to millions of Americans, Maximus workers are paid poverty wages, so low that many are forced to choose between paying for health care or keeping the lights on. Think about that for a minute. How insulting it is to spend your workday helping others access health care and yet be unable to afford health care of your own. This is completely unacceptable. Maximus workers deserve livable wages, affordable benefits, dignity, and a voice on the job. We see through this company's divisive strategies, and we know who's really afraid. Corporations like Maximus use union-busting tactics to stop workers from organizing because they know how powerful workers are when we unite on common ground. And that's why working people need to fight together for fundamental legislation that will raise the minimum wage and guarantee everyone's right to join and form unions. I am proud to introduce you to Anna Flemings, a Maximus employee in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, who can tell you more about the organizing drive in their call center.
In the midst of this global pandemic, earlier this year, my employer increased health insurance benefits deductible from $2,500 to $4,500 in network and $6,500 out of network, which the $2,500 deductible was hard on us, even with as little as $11 an hour. I've experienced what it really is this month. This month, I had to have cataract surgery, and I guess you would know it cost a whopping $5,300, and this is what I had to pay out before I was able to have my surgery. Adding salt to the wound, while I was sitting in the doctor's office waiting to have surgery, and after paying for my surgery, again, $5,300. I was asked by a lady that was there. She said, "Are you okay, ma'am?" I said, "I'll be all right." She said, "Why?" I said, "I just had to give these people $5,300 to have cataract surgery so that I'm able to see and able to keep my job so that I am able to take care of my son."
Every day, low-wage workers, many of them working in public services, put in long hours for little reward to do the jobs that keep our community safe and strong. They work as hard and with as much pride as any executive or CEO. But at the end of the week, they barely take home enough to pay the bills. They confront a rigged system that makes it difficult to get ahead or just to get a fair shake. They are less likely to have access to quality health care. They are more likely to be people of color who also face systemic racial discrimination. Very often, they don't have the voice on the job that comes with a strong union. And the pandemic has further exposed all these injustices, with many of these workers putting their health and safety at risk just to continue supporting their families. America can do better. America must do better. It is time to put these workers' concerns at the center of our national policy debate. It is time to give them the dignity and respect they deserve. It is time for grassroots movement and collective action to address the income inequality that is tearing at our national fabric. It is time to organize and mobilize for transformational change. Let me introduce you to an AFSCME member who can tell her story about living these challenges every day. Charlotte O'Neill, a child care provider with United Domestic Workers, AFSCME Local 3930 in California.
Thank you, President Saunders. And as he said, I am a child care provider. My first child arrives at 4:45 a.m. and my last child leaves at midnight. I'm a teacher, a cook, a mentor, a caregiver, and educator. During the pandemic, my doors have never closed to the families that need me. Many of them are the low-wage workers we deem essential in this pandemic. No one can tell me that I don't work hard, but I, along with other child care providers in California, haven't seen a raise since 2014. We haven't seen a raise since 2014. Many of us work with no insurance, no 401k, or other retirement plans. I've had to choose between food and buying supplies for the children that I care for. I've had to watch every single dollar. That's why we are fighting here in California for a rate increase. It's not just about the money. Although we are grossly underpaid, it's also about respect for the work that we do. I've been a child care provider for 20 years. I am proud to have touched so many lives. But it's time to treat the low-wage workers, the hardest working people out there, with the respect and dignity we deserve. Because when we fight, we win. When we fight, we win. When we fight, we win. Thank you.
Solidarity greetings to the participants of this important National Poor Peoples and Low Wage Workers Assembly. The American Postal Workers Union is proud to join with the Poor People's Campaign and other organizations for a moral revolution to uplift workers and the oppressed. With 140 million poor and low-income workers, rising income inequality, racial injustice, the need for health care for all, and the frontal assault on the public postal service, we have much work to do in the continuing fight for justice. Our government claims to be of, by, and for the people, but we are fed up with the status quo of Wall Street running the show as they laugh all the way to the bank at the expense of the people. In 2018, the APW National Convention passed a resolution that said, linking hand in solidarity with community-based organizations such as the Poor People's Campaign is an integral part of building solidarity. And to quote Reverend Barber, when we all get together, labor and civil rights, what a day it will be. The planned Moral March on Washington, D.C. is an important step in making that day a reality. We look forward to being in the streets with you on June 18th, 2022.
Hi, my name is Dee Taylor, and I'm the president of Unite Here Union, the Union of Hospitality Workers. We represent workers in casinos, hotels, cafeterias, stadiums, concert venues. If you eat, drink, or stay in a place, that's usually us. We're proud. Unite Here is very proud to stand in solidarity with the Poor People's Campaign in our shared fight to uplift workers and have the kind of effect that will lift people up out of poverty and rid our country of racism. You know, when the pandemic hit, 98% of our workers in our union were laid off. We got hit harder than we ever could imagine. But we proved once again when workers come together, when people come together, standing together, we fought, and we fought for the right to return to our jobs. We fought for health and safety on the jobs. We fought for continued health care, and we fought for relief from the U.S. government. That's when we were in need and we wanted them to respond. Now, every organizer in this assembly is making a massive difference in pushing back and ensuring that our families and your families and all families can survive and come back stronger. One of our greatest strengths is our tenacity. And when we have a motto, one day longer, we know if we stand united, we cannot be defeated. And we will come back stronger because there is no other option. I'd like to welcome a leader who embodies that fighting spirit of Unite Here.
Hi, my name is Tammy Hope. I'm with the Unite Here Union, been a member for 15 years. I am a banquet server at the Hyatt Regency in Atlanta. I've been laid off due to the pandemic since March of 2020. Presently, I am still unemployed. This pandemic has It's been difficult. It's been difficult financially, mentally, emotionally, physically. But thank God there's groups of people around us. There's people who understand what's going on. There's people who look out for our interests, and they know that we need better working conditions. We need better wages. We need dignity and respect. We should not have to work 2 and 3 jobs just to be able to try and live. We need better wages, better working conditions. We need to live and just not exist.
Hello, from Birmingham, Alabama. More and more manufacturing corporations are moving here to the South. They're taking root right on top of old Jim Crow, including so-called green industries like electric transportation that still include low wages and poor working conditions. In order to break the old system here in the South, we must join labor and community together in a real way, like we're doing in our campaign to win community benefits with the Canadian bus manufacturer New Flyer right in Anniston, Alabama. Just recently, our Alabama Coalition for Community Benefits also worked to support the efforts of the Amazon Workers Campaign here in Alabama. As most of you may know, the election did not have the outcome that we hoped for, but we took away some valuable lessons. One, community has to join together with labor for us to be successful. Two, laws to protect the workers must be strengthened to stop employer interference. And three, but most importantly, this struggle is just not one campaign. It is a long game that requires deep investment into this movement, community and worker education, and a high level of coordination to build up and activate an infrastructure here in the South that is laser focused on breaking the system of poverty and worker oppression. That is why we must have a third Reconstruction in this country, and this time, get it right. This is how we create job accessibility, a good job for the underemployed and underrepresented workers, which will ultimately break the chains of poverty for Southern workers and ultimately all workers here in America.
But together we walk and we fight for people who have been on the stage already, because they know what the stakes are right now. Why is it in this country that the billionaires during COVID struck gold and the people who worked every single day, manning the grocery stores, doing what Cumi Davis did, helping people in assisted living, helping people who are getting old and need the help, people like Tika Tony, who is in school every day helping children, all these people who are frontline providers, people who are in nursing homes, people who are doctors, people who are nurses, how come they can't make ends meet when the billionaires made a ripoff out of this country? This is why we need a third Reconstruction, because we need the power that all of us together, community and labor, bring. We need the power to fight for a minimum wage. We need the power to fight for labor rights. We need power to fight for voting rights. We need the power to fight for all of these things. Last thing I will say is this. A. Philip Randolph, one of the iconic leaders of labor, said the following: at the banquet table of nature, there are no received seats. You get what you can take and you keep what you hold. If you can't take anything, you won't get anything. If you can't hold anything, you won't keep anything. And you can't take anything without organization. That is what a third Reconstruction is about.
And it is so good and refreshing to hear from our brothers and sisters in this fight around the country. When we work together, mobilize together, and rise together, we become advocates for all those who need advocacy. We become a voice for the voiceless, and we become an agent of change in a time where great change is needed. You know, I've lived my whole life in Southern West Virginia. I've watched my family, my friends, and my neighbors fight, struggle, and claw to eke out an existence. In a country where we are so prosperous, so wealthy, and so advantaged, there is no reason, no excuse for widespread poverty. There's also no reason and no excuse for us to stand by any longer and let this great injustice continue to take root in our country and strangle the potential of this nation and its people. We are at a crossroads, a great intersection of moral fortitude. The magnificent ideals and values America was founded on have been manipulated and twisted by greed and corruption. We need a third Reconstruction. A movement to address poverty in a meaningful way, to fight for a living wage, to bring a federal jobs program, the likes of which we haven't seen since FDR. We need a movement that centers healthcare as a right instead of a privilege, to confront and address systemic racism head on, and to preserve and defend the integrity of our elections, and also that recognizes that workers do have a right to form and join unions. We need a movement to elevate the power of the people. We've been put here for this time and this purpose and this season, and it is up to us to push for change, to right these egregious wrongs, to be each other's
Somebody's hurting our people, and it's gone on far too long, and we won't be silent.